Hello everyone and welcome back to Crafts by the Bow. I've been in Spokane for a couple of weeks and we went with our RV and just had a sort of a quiet couple of weeks before I go back to school. And I was trying to find things while I was there that I could make for my craft fair. And I came across a lot of, let me just get one and show you. A lot of these legal notepads, and they seem really popular in the States. Everybody was buying them. A lot were in the back to school sale. I bought mine at Costco in a multi-pack, and I think they worked out about 80 cents Canadian each. You could get them a little bit cheaper, but some of them didn't have this nice thick backing on, and I need that thick board for what I want to make. And so I bought a set of 12 and I thought, you know, it's not much money, let's have a go, see what we can make. So I looked on Pinterest and on the internet, and I saw Brandy Cox had a couple of years ago, she'd covered some for part of her team. She was giving one to each of her team members. And so I took the measurements from her video just because it was an American size, and this is the exact size she used, except she had the white pads. I didn't know they did white pads, I didn't find those, but I quite like this yellow. So what I came up with was this, and it's using some of our retired Myths and Magic paper, and I put the little pad on the right hand side and just covered the top because I didn't think that looked awfully interesting. And I made a little box at the side, little envelope that children can just pop, you know, little notes in. It fits crayons in, just little pictures that they're colouring. And I had bought last year a big bag full of coloured pens. So what I did was I matched up a pen with this, and I put them in one of our cello bags, and this is what I'm going to sell at my craft fair. And I think they came out really cute. Very noisy, sorry. But, so this is what I've been making the last couple of days. And let's pop this onto one side. And I'm going to show you how I made these. And I'm going to make one more child one, but I think I'm going to make some for adults as well, because just to have that in the bottom of your purse, you know, you can just quickly get it out, make your lists, put your shopping list on it, whatever. So as you know, I've got the legal notepads, and I think these were 5 by 8. Yes, 5 inches by 8. And this is a full piece of our cardstock. It's actually a retired Lost Lagoon. And so it's 8.5 by 11. And I scored it at 5 1/4 and 5 3/4. And that little piece in the middle is what we're going to have just for the spine of the cover. So I'm just going to fold it over, find my bone folder. Make sure you've got a really nice crease on this part, because it's going to be on the very edges of the book and everything. So you need it nice and sharp. There we go. I have already cut all my pieces today. I know usually I cut some, or I'm still making it, but because I was making a big pile of them, I've already got everything cut. So next you need your notepad, and as I said earlier, I covered up this little piece. So you're going to need a piece of card or DSP, because on some of them, like on this one, I used more of the DSP. I didn't use card. But you're going to need a piece of card that's cut at 5 inches by 2 inches, and I scored it at 1 inch and 1 1/4. And I'm just going to fold along those score lines. Where's my other one? There it is. See why you need the bone folder, just to make it nice and straight and flat. Okay. And I found the best glue to use on these was my Tombow, because it adhered really strong, and it sort of bonds the fibres together. So I just put the Tombow all over, made sure I had a lot on the spine. Oh, let's put a bit on that corner there. Okay, and then the smaller side goes to the back and the longer side to the front. There we go. Just go over it with your bone folder just to make it sure it's sticking. It just helps disguise that ugly yellowy brown piece that was already on it. And then you just need Tombow all over the back. And it's such nice thick board on here that it helps to make the card itself a little bit stronger. So the cover is a little bit stronger. And then just pop it inside on the right hand side. I didn't put it right up to the edge. I found it better if you just had a tiny little gap. I turned it over, just go over with my bone folder again. There we go. That's the hardest bit done. The rest is just decorating. Oh, except for the pocket. I do beg your pardon. So I've got another piece of card cut at 6.5 by 4 3/4, and I've scored on 3 of the sides at 1/2 inch and again at 3/4 inch. And I've done that just on the 3 sides. The top is where the pocket's going to be open, so we don't need any score in there. And I'm just going to cut off these little squares at the bottom. This is something that Brandy did, and the first time I thought, oh, actually I'll have those little tabs in and I'll glue them down, but you don't really need them. So save yourself a job and don't make little tabs. It goes to the back of the pocket anyway, you can't see it, and it holds just as strong without. Okay, I need just a little bit of glue on the edges here. And fold that over, and you just need to hold it for a second or two. And I like to put my bone folder in and push the bone folder up and my finger pushing it down, and it just seems to catch better. And then the same here, line up the edges, pop my bone folder in and my finger just to glue it. A simple little pockets, really. I'm not quite sure what else I'm going to make for my craft fair yet. Today I've been doing my homework for part of a training group I belong to. I want to be able to earn an incentive trip with Stampin' Up, and I want to go to Maui in 2020, and one of our pieces of homework was to tidy up your craft room. So it's taken me most of the day, but I have tidied, and I've found all sorts of things that I didn't know I had. Just put them away in the cupboard, and you forget all about them, don't you? So just stick that on there, and it does take just a few seconds to dry. So while it's drying, I'm going to put my decoration on. So let me just see. Yep, that's that piece. And this is just some of the DSP from the Myths and Magic. It's the one that looks a bit like bubbles. Yeah, so I was doing my homework, and it was to tidy up our craft rooms. Well, it's taken me all day just to tidy up, and I didn't even think it was untidy to start with. But I found quite a lot of bits and pieces. So while we were in Spokane, I bought quite a lot of candy and things that I knew I could use for my craft fair. And so now I'm just going to start and design treat boxes and I'm not sure what else yet. Cards don't sell awfully well really here, but I'll make some cards. But I think it's like the more unusual things that people want to buy at craft fairs. There we are. Okay. And then I've got another little tiny piece of the bubble paper that I cut, and I'm just going to put it, oops, I'm just going to put it over here, just so that it matches in with the pocket. I've noticed a few of the other demonstrators on YouTube are starting to make craft ideas and things for school fairs. So it sort of got me in the mood to make some as well. And I don't have any classes for a couple of weeks, so I thought I would spend that time making things for my craft fair instead. So probably my video on a Sunday is going to be a craft item, and my Wednesday one will be product from the catalogues. So there we go. And see how nicely that closes? It's just perfect size. Okay, now let's look at the front. I've cut a larger piece of the Little Mermaid paper, and this is 5 1/4 by 5 1/2, and that's going to go on the front. And then I've cut a tiny little piece of the DSP to match again, and this was 5 1/4 just by 3/4, and I'm going to start off with that one. If you're doing things for craft fairs, comment on the video and let me know, and we can maybe brainstorm some things that we're making, or if there's something that you want to see being made, I'll always show you how I make mine and things. So, right, I'll put the big piece on. When I'm making for craft fairs, I tend to use Tombow more than our like tape runner, more than the snail or the dimensionals, because it works out so much cheaper to use the wet glue. Some things I have to put, you know, like dimensionals on and things, but really I use the Tombow, and it's such a brilliant glue anyway. It sticks really well. And once it's bonded, it's so difficult to get it to come off again. Okay, then I got a piece of white card. This was actually the bottom of a piece of card. I'd been stamping things and cutting them out on it, and this was just like one strip left on the card. And I think it's about 2 inches wide. Yeah, 2 inches wide, and just the length of the card. And what I did was I just tore along the edge. Now, because I didn't want to go much smaller than 2 inches, what I do, let's turn it around so you can see it just a little bit better. I tend to put my ruler across like this and then tear towards the ruler so that I don't get like one big gouge out of it. And then this I'm going to put across the bottom, but I'm going to find the little piece that I like best. I like that piece best. So I'm just going to make a little mark like that so I know where my glue has to go. And this only has to be glued roughly. And we'll cut off the excess. It's not quite long enough, this piece, for 2 books. Else I would have gone from, you know, like the one edge and then cut it off so that I could use the other half. But it wasn't quite long enough for that. Okay, let's get my scissors, turn the book over. Let's cut this one first. There we go. And then this piece. And you just use the edge of the cover as a guide. And then if you have a little bit of glue on your scissors, like I just have there, just use like one of these little erasers, or just an ordinary eraser. that off. And they'll be just like new. No sticky bits on there now. Okay. Now, next I'd cut another piece of the DSP, and this measures 5 1/4 by 3/4 of an inch. But actually this isn't 3/4, it looks a bit more to me. This is a 1 1/2 inch piece. So, I don't know where I got 3/4 from. It's a 1 1/2 inch piece. There we go. Just pop it right in the middle there. I like how that coordinates with the little mermaids on there. And then I cut a very small piece of white card, and I just used the sentiment from the Magical Day set that says one of a kind. And I cut my chevron out before I stamped. And then I stamped, and then I thought, oh, upside down. But never mind, it still works. So I'm just going to glue this on. So I'm sure there's only you and I know that I stamped it the wrong way around. But hey, it looks a bit different. And then from the Magical Day set as well, what I did was I stamped this little mermaid, and then I used the dies to cut her out. I can't believe that this didn't carry on. It's such a great set. Okay, I coloured her in and I covered her with Wink of Stella. There we go. I'm just going to glue her on that space. And then I need to find a matching pen for them. I took out the turquoise one, but I think I might change it and put a green one in because it's a bit more greeny than turquoise. But there we go. Oh, one thing I did on some of the others, because the torn paper looked flat, I just folded it up a little bit. I put my paper piercer underneath just to catch it, and then I just sort of roughed it up so it had a little bit of dimension. Oh, that piece doesn't want to lift up. There we go. There we are. See, it just adds a little bit of dimension to it. And there we go. So a nice, quick little project. Once you've got your pieces cut out, it comes together really quickly. And I think a little girl would love that. She's got her own pen to do her little bits of writing, you know, stickers or pictures in the pocket. I think that'll be a really nice seller at the craft fair. And as I say, I think I might do a few for adults as well, because I would like one of those in mine. I could put my receipts in here from the store, and my shopping list on here, and I could even put it like one of those little calendars in. Now, that would be pretty cool, wouldn't it? One of those tiny little calendars, stick it up here so that you can go through and, you know, sort the dates. And yeah, I think I might do that on the adult ones. Okay, so thanks again for joining me. I hope to see you all again soon, and enjoy the rest of your evening. Thanks everybody. Bye-bye.